All right. My name's Coach Cody Casazza. I am currently the head strength and conditioning coordinator and varsity defensive line coach at Centennial High School in Franklin, Tennessee, just south of Nashville. I've been coaching for 5 years now. This is my first year at Centennial. Before that, I was a little bit farther south here in Tennessee. All right. So as a defensive line, we have a big job on defense. We are the first ones to react. We have to fill our gaps. We are a gap sound defense. We are a multiple defense. We base out of a 3-4, but we have many sub packages, and we label ourselves as what we call a 13-9. We can get into a 4-2-5, a 4-3, a 50, a 6-2, a 4-6, all kinds of different packages, but we are multiple, but we base out of a 3-4. So our 2020 defensive goals. Our mantra kind of goes: attitude and confidence are keys to our success. Know we can be great, and believe in your teammates. Okay, it's got to start with a self-confidence, and that starts with us as coaches all week at practice. And we've got to build these guys up. We've got to let them know that they can do it, and instill that in them, that they know that they can do it. We need to play with an attitude and swagger. If you're a defensive coach, you know all about this. Your guys on defense, you want guys that can play with great attitude and swagger. They're going to go out there, honey badgers, not care about what they're doing. Go around, fly, hit things, all right? We always want to respect our opponents, but we do not want to fear them. Okay, so even if you're playing a team that your kids, they're going to talk, they see film, they know kids that go to these schools, and they might not be the best of a school. We still need to respect them, okay? Their program might be rebuilding, it might be down. We need to let them know that we still need to play our ball the best we can play it. If you're playing the best team in the state, best team in your conference, we do not fear them, okay? We let them know they put their pants on just like we put our pants on, all right? Respect your opponent, do not fear them. Always encourage your teammates and never discourage, okay? We got to let them know that when their teammate messes up, they already know that they've messed up. We don't need teammates talking to each other and, reminding them that they've screwed up. That's our job as coaches to talk to them, not their jobs as teammates. Their job is to pick them up, communicate, and help them get it right on the next play. We always want a next play mentality. Okay, so when we discourage, we lose that next play mentality. All right. Goals. So these are each game goals. We want to execute calls at 80% or higher. Just do your job, okay? We want to make sure that we are executing stunt, front, blitz, coverage. We want to make sure we're executing this 80% of the time or greater, okay? Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Worry about your job. Pre-snap, you can talk. We need to communicate. Secondary talks to each other. Backers are talking to each other. D-line, we need to be talking to each other as well. We need to make sure that we're in our gaps, playing our keys, 80% or better. We want to limit missed tackles in a game. Okay. Every day we start practice with an athletic development period. Okay. So we work on tackling circuit. We work on inside out, outside in, and vice tackles. We really want to limit missed tackles. We want to hold our opponent to less than 300 yards of offense. Okay. This used to be thing, like 250, 200. Okay, usually it's 150 yards passing, less than 100 yards of rushing. Offenses have evolved. Okay, the game's evolved. It's gone towards more of an offensive type of game. So we have to adjust as well. So we want to keep them under 300 total yards of offense. We want to keep all runs under 10 yards and all passes under 15 yards. Okay, that's eliminating the big play. Any run over 10 and any pass over 15 is an explosive play, and we want to eliminate those. We want to win on first down, less than 4 yards. Okay? We want to get them in a second and long, second and medium type of situation. Okay? Second and short, they can kind of dictate what they're doing. We get them in second and long, then we can, we have a big chance of getting a third and long. And as a defensive line, that means we get to pin our ears back and go rush the passer. Okay, no big plays, 15 yards or more. We want to give less than 17 points per game. If we're keeping them under 17 points per game, we've got to have confidence in our offense that we're going to score the ball 3 times and we're going to win. Okay, and the most essential one is we've got to create 3 turnovers per game, an absolute must. Part of that athletic development period that we start practice with is also a turnover circuit. So we work athletic development with tackling and athletic development with turnovers. We work them every day. We've got to get 3 per game, and if we do, we should win. All right, defensive line philosophy. Okay, this is what I teach. This is what I preach. Okay, and most defensive line coaches do. We got to be violent. Okay, this is not a position you can play if you're not willing to be violent. Okay, we've got to be, we've always got to be the aggressor. We can never be the receiver. Okay, we've got to be the most aggressive, meanest people on the field. Okay, this applies to your hands, your feet, tackling, and playing attitude. Okay, our hands have got to be the most violent part of our bodies. We got to get our hands on offensive linemen before they get their hands on us. We've got to have an extremely violent first 2 steps. We want to tackle with intensity, and we want to play violently. Pursuit. We're always going to be flying around on every play. There is no loafing. If it's a pass down the field, we're turning and running. We're getting to the ball. If you make a mistake, make it at 100%. Okay? This is something I teach hard. We want to execute at 80% or greater. Okay, so we know the mistakes are going to happen. But if we're going 100% on every play, all right, you're bound to mess something up for the offense. Okay, we got to go 100% no matter what. Okay, a lot of kids catch themselves messing up in drills. Okay, and this is where we teach it. They know they take the wrong step, or they know they read the block wrong. Okay, we always are taught to finish that drill at 100% no matter what, and that's going to carry over to game day, and hopefully it messes something up. Discipline. We are going to stunt on 95% of our called plays. So we have to know our key and know our gap, and we need to get there no matter what. Okay, part of this is understanding the down and distance. And also swagger. Okay, this goes back to our defensive philosophy as well. Something I teach on the D-line is we've got to have some swagger on the D-line. All right. Know your job. This is stuff that we work every day in practice, and we have to do it. We start from day 1, okay, and we start before camp even starts. We're on huddle, we're communicating, and we're learning our job. So we need to know our alignment, okay? We've got to know first where we're lining up, okay? We have to know where we're going to. Where are we stunning, okay? Where is our backers coming from? We got to get there, okay? Our assignment, again, where are we going to stun? If I stun inside, who's going to be my key? Okay, what's my gap? If I'm stunning inside and it's outside zone away, I got to know I got to flatten my step, and I've got to get to that B gap still or that A gap still. Okay, and we've got to execute. When we get there, we've got to play that block. Okay, we got to reset the line of scrimmage and get over there and get our job done. If you want to play, these 3 things will allow you to do so. Okay, these are things that we've got to take serious. Sometimes they're not the most fun in practice. Sometimes they get very repetitive because we're going to do them every day. But we've got to be great at the things we do. All right, this is how we align. We go 0 is head up. Outside shoulder to the center is a 1 technique. We call it a shade on our defense. Inside shoulder of the guard is a G or a 2I. We call it a G for us. Head up on the guard's a 2. Outside shoulder of the guard's a 3. Inside shoulder of the tackle's a 4I. Head up on the tackle's a 4. Outside shoulder is a 5. Inside shoulder of the tight end is a 7, head up is a 6, and outside is a 9. Our base alignment is 0-4-0 or 4-0-4. Okay, we're head up on the tackle, head up on the center, head up on the tackle. Okay, like most 3-4 defenses are, and we are going to stunt either left or right. However, we do have sub packages where we can get into a 4-man front, 4-2-5, and we can shade. Got our gaps listed out, and we want them to know the backs too. We want them to know 1, 2, or 3, so then that way when they're on huddle studying, they understand what a 34G play is, or anything like that, so they know what they're doing. For an assignment, we're always playing one shoulder of a man, so a half a man. If no stunt is called, we stun away from the blitzing linebacker, so we are always moving. If no stunt or blitz is called, we are what we call a backdoor squeeze player. So we're getting our first 2 steps in the ground. We react to the offensive lineman. If he's going left, we're going to get in his backside hip pocket and squeeze down with him, and linebackers are going to fit and flow off of us. When on a stunt, we need to get to our gap and key no matter what. Take the correct steps and communicate. Okay, most of the time we play with a 1 shoulder rule, so we are always going to stunt to the first shoulder of the next man. Okay, however, we do have some exotic stunts and blitzes, so we do have some long sticks, which means we are skipping an entire gap and going to the next. Okay, that does get tricky when they do run an outside zone play or any type of play going away. That means we need to really take our stunt step from a 45-degree angle to a 90 and get flat down the line and go. Gaps move, so you need to move. All right, mastering the fundamentals. Our stance is first. We work stance and starts every day. We're always in a 3-point. Our inside hand and foot is down. Okay, this is going to make it easier when we're stunning inside. If they're stunning outside, they're just going to even their feet up a little bit. We'll talk about this more when we get to stance. Okay, so in that way our steps aren't as long. Our get-offs. We need to have a violent get-off and first 2 steps. Okay, our first 2 steps need to be in the ground before we initiate contact, and at that point we should be able to recognize what block we have coming. Footwork. We always have active feet. Our feet should never be planted in the ground. We run an odd front, as we said, and we stunt all the time. Hands, violent and placement. We're aiming for via the neck and shoulder pad. Keep our pads low. We always strike from low to high, keeping our eyes below our hands. Block recognition. Eyes on your key. By the time we have our first 2 steps, we should understand the blocking scheme. All right, for our stance, we want our feet shoulder width. Okay, for a lot of our bigger guys, our nose tackles, it's okay if they go a little bit wider than their shoulder width. It's going to be a good base in whatever they're comfortable getting out of. All right, our back foot's toe should be aligned with the front foot's heel. So we call it a heel-toe ratio. Okay, we don't want them much farther back than that. We always want our toes in and heels out. It helps us explode out of our stance. Our down hand is directly in front of our back foot. So something I work on, especially with the younger guys, our freshmen, sophomores, is we work just a basic line drill. So we get on, the 5s or the 10-yard lines, and we work right hand, right foot on the line, working fast 2 steps on the whistle. They're back down, and we go all the way down, all the way back as many times as we need to, just to work on that 6-inch step and keeping our hands and foot in line. We want to keep our weight on our down hand and our front foot. This is going to help you balance in your stance and get you in an attacking stance. Okay? So we also want, that's going to be butt and eyes up, is going to be part of that attacking stance where we're putting our weight down on our down hand. Our up hand is in an attacking position. So we're not going to get into a 4-point, or we're not going to keep that hand in a holster. We're going to keep it right out in front of us. okay, right next, just hanging out low. That way, when we're attacking out of our stance, both hands can fire straight up with our feet moving. Okay, that way we're going to get hands on the offensive line before they get it on us. If it's a passing situation, 3rd and long, 2nd and long, they're going for it on 4th and 15, then we can alter towards more of a sprinter stance. So we can get, a little bit bigger of a stagger, get our hands out a little bit more, butt up a little bit more, a little bit better for firing off. Get-offs. So we work part of these in our warm-ups every day. I got a ball. We're going on the ball, so I'll give them a bunch of false cadences. They're watching the ball, and we're firing off. We go for a 5-yard sprint. If the ball moves or the offensive lineman moves your key, you're in attack mode. You're going now, now, now. Our first 2 steps are 6-inch steps taken with great violence. They're very fast. Okay, like I said before, by the time we have our first 2 steps in the ground, we should understand the blocking scheme. We should know what's coming at us or what's coming away from us. We've got to know by the time our first 2 steps are in the ground. If it's a passing down, that first 6-inch step, we're going to make it a little bit longer, and we're going to replace our down hand. Okay, so we call it a replacement step. And that's for like a 3rd and long situation where it's going to be pass or draw or screen. Hands and feet work together, okay? So our hands are coming straight from the ground to the man. No holsters, okay? This is not like we're tackling. All right, we don't have time for our hands to sit back on our hips, because in the time we do that, we're exposing our chest and giving the offensive lineman somewhere to latch on. We're going straight from the ground to man. Okay, and be violent. What's going to help you with these hands from straight to the ground to the man is we run the lev sled every day. Okay, so we work on 2-point, 6-point, 4-point explosions. And that way we're working our hands and hips and our hands and feet together at the same time. That lev sled is really great. It's making the kids fire, thumbs up, palms out, and they're really firing into it. Otherwise, the sled's not going to lift. So lev sled is very, very good. If your school can afford one or get one, or you guys can fundraise for one, I highly recommend you get a lev sled. All right. For our hand placement, we always are going to aim for via the neck with our inside hand. Okay. Our outside hand is going to go for the outside shoulder of our key. So via the neck and shoulder, that's always our attacking key. Our hand should strike from low to high. So we're always starting low and we're always striking high. We want to get the offensive lineman on their heels from initial contact. Okay, we always play with our hands above our eyes. This is going back to pad level. Okay, we have, defensive line, we got a bunch of tall dudes. Okay, we got defensive ends. They're usually the 6 foot, 6'4" type of dudes. Okay, it's essential that we get these guys low. Okay, so we always want to make sure we're playing hands above eyes. When we feel the pressure, we want to fight pressure with pressure. So by the time we get our hands on, we should be able to understand where this offensive lineman is trying to put the pressure on me. If I'm feeling pressure on my outside shoulder, I know he's trying to reach or hook me. I've got to keep fighting with that outside shoulder and get my outside hand and hip free. Okay? We want to extend arms and separate. We don't want to be in nice and close, because that's when offensive lineman can hold us and it's not going to be called. So we want to be extended. Okay? When we get into those reaching situations, okay, or they're coming out on a base block and we're trying to squeeze them back down, I always teach one arm is longer than two. Okay, so after we get our two hands on and we can squeeze them back down and fight that pressure, start fighting with one arm, and it separates us even farther. And that way we're keeping our play side hand and foot free. All right, and then we've got to get off blocks. We don't want to be sacrificial lambs. All right, so we want to get to our key, play our block, and we want to get off the block and make a play. It's got to be a violent move, something like a push-pull, a rip, an arm over, anything like that. All right, block recognition and key. This is important. Once we read the block, we've got to understand how to play the block. Okay, so by the time we have our second foot in the ground, we should be able to recognize the block. All right, our keys will be the near hip and shoulder of the offensive lineman. We are keen, or shaded to, or stunning towards. Our eyes should never be in the backfield. We play with discipline. We have no business watching backs. The offensive line will always take you to the ball. Okay? So we always key offensive linemen. A lot of guys, especially the younger guys, they want to get up and they want to, start peeking their heads and start looking back and forth, seeing what the backs are doing, and then that's when we're going to be wrong. Okay? The football gods see that stuff, and they're going to make us wrong every single time. So we want to make sure that we are only playing our key. Okay? Play with blinders. The blocks that we teach to recognize, the big three are really base block, reach block, and down block. These are the blocks you're going to see a big chunk of the time. So we spend most of our time on these three blocks. Okay? And then based off scouting reports and what other teams run, the other blocks we do focus on are inside combo and outside combos. Okay? Different types of double teams. Pass pros, so 60 protection, 50, 70, different types of pass protection. Of course, screen and cut blocks. Okay, and we're going to go through each of these. All right, with a down block, we are always going to be a squeeze surf player. So a scoop block is when the blocker is working down or inside of you, up to the backer, or down to the next lineman. The defensive lineman must attack his key and get hands on the blocker. We are strong inside hand to flatten him down the line and keep him off the backers. Okay? That is a down or a scoop. We're always going to be in his hip pocket, squeezing him down, hands on. A reach block is when the blocker tries to overtake your outside shoulder or play side shoulder. So when, as a defensive lineman, when we're feeling this pressure on our outside shoulder, we have to know that right away, this is a reach block. He's trying to overtake my outside shoulder. The defensive lineman must attack his key and get hands on. Keep your play side arm and leg free. Okay, so we're fighting with our outside arm. One arm's longer than two, and we can get off. We can get a nice little arm over with our inside and get our outside arm and hand free. A base block. Okay, a base block is when the blocker tries to base you and drive you off the ball. Okay, we have to be strong. We have to initiate that contact first. We have to feel the pressure coming down our center, and we've got to be physical and squeeze the backer block back down into that hole, that gap. Okay, we've got to squeeze him back down. We have to be nice and strong in here and get our hips and hands square to the line of scrimmage. Okay, a double team, a true double. A double team is when both blockers try to drive you off the ball. So this is going to be your fourth and short, your goal line type of situation, okay? A wedge block, something like that. When you attack your keys first, you need to feel the pressure from the outside man. Turn your hips and shoulders into the pressure. So it goes back, fighting pressure with pressure, okay? An inside combo. This is a double team where the lineman works to your inside to block up to a linebacker. The blocker to your inside will post and try to open your inside shoulder while the blocker to your outside tries to scoop your inside. You must attack your key first. Use a strong inside hand to try to flatten him down the line. He should never be able to work up to the linebacker. Okay, and an outside combo. This is probably the most popular one that you're going to see. Okay, outside is the most popular double team, or at least what we see down here in our conference. This is a double team where the linemen work to your outside up to a linebacker. Okay. The blocker to your outside will post you up and try to open your outside shoulder while the blocker to your inside tries to reach your outside. You must attack your key first. Okay. That is a very common theme. We see this. We need to attack our key. Okay. We play every block the same. We take the same 2 steps every time, and we attack our keys the same every time. Once you feel that outside pressure, you turn your shoulders and hips into the pressure. So we want to aim our hips for the crotch of that outside pressure man. Okay, so we want to attack, pressure. We want to then turn our hips straight into the crotch of that pressure. The way we do this is to eliminate contact in practice is we use a left sled and a man with a blocking shield. So we're going to attack the left sled, and then there's sometimes we're going to have the man with the blocking shield come late and put pressure on the hip and see how fast that we can have our players react to that pressure and turn their hips while keeping the long arm on the left sled. Okay, and we want to mimic it as realistically as possible, so we don't want them to know that this is coming every time. So we'll let those players choose when they're going to give that pressure and when they're not, or I'll give them a dictated call from behind whether I want them to give that pressure or not. Okay, a back block. A back block is when the blocker you are aligned on steps back to seal you and pull goes to your inside. So an inside pull or a back block. Defensive lineman must get hands on and squeeze him back into the hole. Keep your outside arms and legs free. A fold block. A fold block or a wrap block is where the blocker you are aligned on pulls your outside and the lineman to your outside blocks down on you. The defensive tackle has to get in the hip pocket of the puller, get your outside shoulder down, and bend the corner. Okay, so we've got that pressure is going to come on you and you're not going to be able to see it. Okay, but you've got to sit back down into it and squeeze it and get underneath and bend that shoulder and get in that hip pocket of the pulling guard. We won't go over down pull. The trap block. Okay, trap is a fast hitting play. All right, and it's hard to play. So the trap block is when you get a down or scoop by the guard and you get a puller trying to kick you out of your gap. This is mostly when they're reading a 3 technique. Okay, so if you line up with a 3 technique and an over or an under front a lot, then a trap is something you're probably going to get quite often. The defensive tackle must spill the puller or the trapper. Okay, a spill or a wrong arm. Okay, so we are squeezing that pull and guard or that down block from the guard. We need to be tight in his hip pocket so you don't get an ear hole shot from that pulling guard. You need to be underneath of him and wrong arm him. All right, cut blocks. Okay, high hats will become low hats. So an offensive lineman is going to pop up and then take a dive right at your knees and try to roll you up. So as a defensive lineman, we want to see those hats drop. And when that happens, we want to move our hips and feet to the outside. Okay, and then we are going to use our hands to push down on the back of the cutting offensive lineman. All right, when this happens, you need to kind of expect a quick pass. Okay, so we want to be able to make sure our hands can get up or some type of screen. So that way we need to know we need to get flat down the line and get to the ball. Okay, we need to get our hands and hips square to the line of scrimmage. Screen. Okay, the basic rule of thumb, if it's too good to be true, it is. Okay, we're in high school, college, we're not super elite pass rushers. Okay, nobody's that good. If you're not getting blocked, it's for a reason. Okay, when that happens, you need to stop and think, and you need to retrace your steps. Okay, fan out. Find the center is the most important one. We all need to communicate and yell as loud as you can. Screen, 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 so your teammates can hear you and stop running upfield. Okay? That's for some type of T-slip, jailbreak, wide some type of Y back screen. For bubbles, tunnels, and nows, we need to get flat down the line and play top shoulder of the ball carrier for anything being reversed. Okay. All right, the fun part, pass rush. Number one, we must stop the run in order to rush the quarterback. Okay, so our number one responsibility is to make sure we are playing the run and stopping the run. If we don't stop the run, we're never going to get an opportunity to rush the quarterback. Okay, rushing is the reward for playing great on first and second down. All right, we want to get them into a third and long. We want to get them in passing situations. All right. Always rush with these in mind. A plan. Okay. So when it's a third and long, before that ball is snapped, I want to have a first move in my head. I want to know what I'm going. I want to know if I'm rushing off the edge with speed. Okay. I want to know, do I have a 3 technique? Okay. Am I not able to go inside once I get to 6 or 7 because my B gap lane is covered? Okay. I've got to know these things. I've got to have a plan in mind. Okay, always with your first plan, you've always got to have a second plan. Okay, with a move, you've always have to have a counter move. We need to have a great get off in speed. Okay, so those third and longs, we know we can get a bit more into a sprinter stance. We're taking a larger first step for explosion. Okay, and we need to create a path to the quarterback. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're not just running straight up field. We want to make sure we're taking an angle to the quarterback. Okay. While we're doing that, though, we need to maintain lane responsibility. Okay. That means if you're a C gap rusher, you need to be in the C gap until you see the quarterback step up in the pocket. Once that happens and you get to about 6 or 7 yards, you can start to work it back up and in. Okay. If you're an A gap rusher, you've got to be an A gap rusher. All right, it is only going to work if we're maintaining our gaps and not giving the quarterback a path to escape. Our hands need to become extra violent on a pass rush. Okay, we have got to be able to knock the offensive lineman off his path or off his feet with our hands on a pass rush. Okay, we want to put his body in a situation where he cannot block us after that first move. When we are pass rushing, we always want to attack a half a man or a third of a man. Okay, we really want to aim for just that outside shoulder of the tackle or guard, center, whoever you're rushing. We're aiming for that outside shoulder. We want to use a move with our inside hand on the outside arm of the offensive lineman. So our move should always start with our inside hand. Okay, so we're going to work 3 count with our hand fighting. And 1 is always going to start with our inside hand. Some initial moves that we work on is our speed rush. Okay, number 1, it's worked since the beginning of time. It's always going to work. It always will work. Okay, a chop, a violent chop with our inside hand. When we do this the correct way, we're going to chop down to where we are leaning our shoulder and we're only giving the offensive lineman a place to block is our back, and he's going to push us straight into the pocket, into the quarterback. Okay, a rip. Okay, it's kind of like a chop. So we're going to rip and club with our outside arm. We can go to a true club. We can either club the inside or outside. We want to get our forearm underneath the armpit or shoulder pad and club him whichever direction we want to bring him. Okay, and then a swipe or a wax on, wax off. Okay, use 2 hands, aim for the wrist and elbow, and we're swiping arms away. Some counter moves is speed to power. Okay, so as a rusher, a speed rusher, I beat my tackle off the edge a couple times with speed. Okay, now we're in another third and long. That tackle is going to be on his heels trying to beat you back. So at that point, I need to come from low to high, beat him with speed, and turn it into power. Okay, come from low to high, bring his breastplate of his shoulder pads right up through his neck. Okay, a stab. This is where I'm taking I'm beating him with speed. I'm going to take my inside arm, stab underneath his breastplate, take his outside arm, and lift both up and drive him back into the pocket. Okay, another good counter move is we take a stutter step. Okay, stutters always start with 3 steps. If you want to go inside with your stutter, your first step of your stutter needs to be your inside foot. If you want to stutter step an outside rush, our first step of our stutter needs to be our outside foot. Okay, and with a stutter, you can turn it into a speed to power. You can turn it into a stab. You can turn it into a swipe. When we're doing a stutter, we're getting our offensive lineman to stop moving his feet, okay, because he needs to know which direction we're going, and then we can get a move off of that. All right. Moves that I never allow my players to use is a swim. Okay, when they swim, they're exposing those ribs. I want to keep them in the safest possible position, keep them on the field, and keep them playing. So we never want to use a swim, never expose our ribs. Okay, never give surface to block. An alternate to the swim is we want to keep our elbow down and we can get an arm over. Okay, so I'm going to knock that arm down, but I'm keeping those ribs protected, keeping surface off for them not to block. This is the exact PowerPoint that I go over with my players before season starts. So come May or June, at the end of spring practice, beginning of summer practice, we go through and set this down. Most of the time it's when our new freshmen have already come in because we need to get them caught up. All right. If you have any questions or you want to contact me, this is my school email. Probably the best way is just to hit me up on Twitter. My handle is at Cody Casazza 92. I'm also the head strength and conditioning coach. If you want to contact me for insights on your lifting program, or if you want to contact me about possibly getting our program, then you can contact me about that as well. And I am more than happy to help you out with any of that type of stuff. Feel free to reach out. Enjoy your summer. A lot's going on right now. I just want to remind us that, we need to stay close with our players during all this. Let them know that you're there for them. You care for them. All right. And give them that safe space that they can reach out to you. They can talk to you. Okay. Because for a lot of our guys, this is a tough time for them. All right. And football is their escape. And we should be that safe person for them, okay, that they know that they can go to. So that's very important right now. So thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your summer. I'm praying that we all have football this fall.